Men of Reddit, what do women do that they think is okay but is actually creepy? Honestly, hands down, women who exploit emotions of men. We may not all cry in the movie theater, but we are not incapable of experiencing deep painful emotional wounds. In general, it seems to be more acceptable for women to rag on guys for our image, like our height, weight, or income. While the flip side being that men cannot criticize women without being a pig. So yeah, women who nitpick guys for superficial reasons are creepy, arrogant, and covered with more red flags than a game of Minesweeper. I have a friend that whenever she starts dating a guy, just lists me off thing about the dude like she's listing a resume. Never anything about the personality or sense of humor or what characteristics about them she enjoys. It's job, career, college, earnings, house. I had to tell her it was getting creepy because it just sounds like she's getting a checklist to impress people, not find a good person for her. I was dropping my kid off at my ex's place and her new boyfriend was there. She introduced him by saying, "This is Dan, he works at wherever it was and makes $116,000 a year." The poor guy looked deeply uncomfortable. Edit, that wasn't actually the first time she'd told me that. She texted me about it once before saying something like, "I really want you to meet Dan, he gets paid $116,000 at often." Yeah, I was sitting here thinking, I wonder if he knows that she's sharing all this information with her friends. But if he told her out of the gate he made 6 figures, like on the first date, maybe he's okay with it. It still would make me uncomfortable, to be on either side of that. To me it sounds like she's self-conscious and is trying to impress her ex/make him jealous. Which is something someone who hasn't gotten over their ex would do. Makes me feel bad for the current guy. The way girls share really personal things about guys in relation to society and the media would have you believe that guys talk about all the time and just objectify the women that they've slept with. I don't know if maybe I'm just hanging out with the wrong people, but honestly the most you usually get out of a guy is just that they had with a girl. And the only time we discuss details are when you're just like trading stories. But girls tend to like immediately report on things to their friends, and share details that honestly could be embarrassing or uncomfortable for the guy. It makes me really uncomfortable and creeped out to think that if I sleep with the girls I have to just accept that all of her friends are going to know every detail about the experience. Size, performance, how long it lasted, how I look. It just feels like a huge breach of privacy. This has always messed with me. I can literally count on one hand the number of times men in my life have discussed a woman or objectifyingly, and 3 of those times we were like 15, but it's just taken as granted that all men are constantly waiting for the women to leave the room so we can rate there. Not creepy, but when a woman sees a single dad with his kid and feels it's okay to tell them they're doing great. I get they may feel like they're being supportive or whatever, but the stigma behind guys not knowing how to raise a child is infuriating. I have 50/50 custody of my child and she's raised brilliantly by both me and her mom. I can guarantee mom never gets random praises just for walking through a shop with our child though. It's not supportive, it's condescending as hell, and please stop. Edit, I've seen a few comments about accepting compliments. My daughter is an absolute delight and always gets genuine compliments from passers-by. These I take with pride and a smile. The problem is from the people who approach in shock to see a dad alone with his kid and think he's either babysitting or just lost without a woman to tell him how to raise his kid and needs a patronizing pat on the back. Edit 2, just to clarify, I always respond with a smile and thank you regardless of the way I'm approached. I'm not raging mad about this, lol. I've had this happen a few times, but I don't know if it is more common or less common. When I go to a bar for a drink on say a Friday night, I usually go with friends. I'll head to the bathroom and sometimes the bar will be crowded, so I'll have to slip through a group of people. Several times I'll get rubbed or caressed by women. Sometimes on the groin, sometimes on the chest or shoulders. It's not wanted, nor am I signaling I want to be touched, just saying excuse me and going past. It bothers me every time. Once had a girl at a club straight up put her hand down my pants and ask me when I'm going to her. I couldn't really process what had happened at the time and just said, "I'm not / I have a girlfriend," or something. It wasn't till I started thinking how pissed I would be if someone did that to my GF that I realized how up it was. Okay, so this is something both me and my brother had happened to us. We are both pretty young, around 20, but we were at some parties where people of all ages were around recently. At one party, we had just finished performing with our orchestra and we were still in our uniforms. Then when I was getting some beers, some random lady of over 40 said to me, "Would you like to change clothes? I want to look like I am in the orchestra." So naturally, I'm like, well, I'd rather not, but she was like, "Oh please." And she kept on trying to talk to me. On another party, some lady, also of over 40, who was really seeking attention, started to hold my brother by the waist. My brother told me he was really weirded out by her. She tried to do this multiple times, even after I lured my brother away by pretending I needed to say something to him. I don't really know if this is something a lot of middle-aged ladies do, but them acting like that really weirded me out, and they seemed to do this as if it was the most normal thing in the world. Asking password to social accounts or phone. I had one like that. She would throw a giant fit for hours about wanting to see me email accounts for no reason. After hours of her bad behavior, I'd show her and let her look all she wanted just to find nothing. This happened multiple times and never got an apology. We broke up and of course she tells me that she was cheating. GL with that abusive woman dude. Went out with a group of guys last weekend. There were 6 of us and this random girl started hanging around us like a lost puppy and just wouldn't leave. She was attractive, but so obviously desperate for attention that none of our group of guys really cared to give her any. This girl was just looking at everyone, batting her eyes and trying to hug everyone, but the guys were just pawning her off on each other. Not sure if this is pathetic more than creepy, but if a guy did the same thing, he'd be labeled with creepy, so yeah. She was creepy to me. I honestly thought she was a hooker or something trying to sell services or the way she was approaching dudes. It's not normal. Probably trying to get free drinks. When women say things like, "If I were 10 years younger," about underage boys. It's creepy, gives off pedo vibes, and if the genders were reversed you'd call the FBI. My dad married a woman when I was in middle school. She used to say this to me all the time. "If I were younger I would have picked you, not your dad." It always weirded me out. But she was weird and creepy on whole other levels. She's had the old bull, but now she wants the young calf. Being way too open about there. I have never in my life heard a guy describe exactly how his GFS looks like or how she sounds when. I think I've had 2 female friends, one former, who did similar things like this. The one I'm still friends with, I remember at one point we'd discuss our life. Pretty sure she started it and eventually she got a bit too descriptive. The other one, we had only been friends for maybe a month at the time. During a late night Skype call she said something along the lines of, "Hey, could you just keep talking and ignore me?" She proceeded to as I rambled out some in confusion. "Congratulations, you found a very specific kink." As a gay guy, women seem to think that it's okay to touch me, in a general way, and sometimes even in a more inappropriate way. "Lady, I don't know who you are, I don't care who you are, sure we had a nice brief conversation but don't touch me. Don't wrap your hands around my legs so you can gawk at the size of my legs, don't squeeze my pec, or think that I want a hug despite never having met you before. I am avoiding physical contact not only to be respectful of your boundaries, but because I also have boundaries I don't want you to violate. Consent works both ways, always. Don't touch me." I was watching Wendy Williams one day and she had Anderson Cooper on the show. I don't know why, but she started questioning his. Then she hugged him and smashed her against his face. The audience was laughing. It was super awkward and you could tell he was uncomfortable. I remember thinking that it was. Why do straight women think it's okay to do that to a gay man? She should show respect and not touch him in any way, let alone in any way. And why are you so concerned about his? Why is it so important to you that a man, any man, be attracted to you? It was awful. Setting up traps, to test us. Being upset with something we did/said in your dreams. Lying to our faces when we ask direct questions like, "What is wrong, how are you," etc. Edit, thank you for the gold, kind stranger. Seems I hit a few nerves with this comment, all of which have affected us in different ways. Gotta love the, "if I'm upset you need to ask me why and talk about our feelings." but then when that situation arises and I do just that, and you say, nothing, I don't want to talk about it, don't get mad that I shrug and leave it be. I'm not going to play that game.